Good morning, students. I hope so. Everyone is good and everyone is fit and fine. So, today we are going to continue with the same chapter, that is chapter number 11, the making of the national movement from 1870s till 1947. And this is your lecture 3 for the same. And in the previous lectures, we have discussed about the various movements that have grossed into the movements for our basic independence, that the struggle that we have done, all the members, all the political associations, the struggle that we have done for our, and all the movements that have been happened till now that we have discussed is basically formulating towards our independence for our Swaraj only. Now in today also we are going to continue with the same, and we are going to talk about different kind of movements and different kind of struggling movements or tasks that happen that basically lead to our independence. So what were that we are going to talk in today's lecture, that are the topics to be covered. The first is the happenings of 1922 till 1929. So in this period of time, what are the different things that happened? We are going to discuss that. After that, we'll be talking about the March to Dandi that happened in 1931. Basic, the most famous third march that happened. What were the major impact of this particular march on the people and for our country's independence? We are going to talk that. And the most important movement, that was the Quit India movement that happened, and later what was the impact on that for India and for Pakistan as well. So these will be the topics that we are going to cover today, and with that I'm going to give you the homework that you have to do. So these will be the things that we are going to do. So everyone, please be ready with your books, with your notebook where you can write down the notes, and one pen in your hand. So shall I start with the lecture now? So the first topic that we are going to discuss is basically the happenings of 1922 till 1929. See, Mahatma Gandhi, as we have talked a lot about Mahatma Gandhi here. So Mahatma Gandhi was a major mass leader of all time. He has done so many movements for us, and he have traveled throughout the country to know the condition of the different kind of people who are living here, what kind of circumstances they have faced in. He started with taking part in different kind of strikes and hartals for people in a non-violent way. So basically, he was against of all the violent movement that was happening all over the country, and anytime he saw any violence that was created by any sort of movement, he just called out that particular movement at that point only, because he want that we should get our independence through non-violence movement only. So he apparently called off the non-cooperation movement when in February 1922 a crowd of peasants set fire to a police station in Chauri Chaura. So similarly, I just told you that whenever he saw violence, that he have started many movements. But if he saw a little bit of violence that is created in between of that, he simply called off that particular movement, because he want that we should get our independence through non-violent things only. And he when this non-cooperation movement was going on, he apparently have to call off it when in February 1922 there was a lot of crowd of peasants. They have set fire to the police station in Chauri Chaura, and there were 22 policemen were killed on that day. So basically this whole incident, this whole movement was being so violent and so much dash that the peasants were provoked because the police had fired on their peaceful demonstration. So basically what the police officers have done, they have set fire on their whatever posters and demonstrations that they have made. They have set fire on that. So they were so much in anger that they have set fire in their police stations, and in that incident 22 police officers and policemen were killed on that day. So because of this particular incident, once the non-cooperation movement was over, Gandhiji followers were stressed that the Congress must undertake constructive works in the rural areas more. So after this movement was called off, every follower of Gandhiji who was following them, they were so stressed that now what will happen? Now how we are going to attain our independence, and how Congress is basically going to undertake any all such a work for the rural kind of areas, basically for the peasants and for the different rural workers which are there. So what are the things that they are going to do for them? So we are going to discuss that. They were very stressed for that. And there were different other leaders too, such as Chita Ranjan Das and Motilal Nehru, they were urged that the party should fight elections to the councils and they should enter them in order to influence government policies. So apart from these particular things, who were like don't want to be a part of this legislature or government policies, there were other leaders too that are like Chita Ranjan Das and Motilal Nehru. They were basically urging the party, the Congress party, so that they can fight in the elections for the council, so that they can get a position where they can have certain power, where they can rule the government policies too, or they can influence certain government policies too. So they want that if we have to change the system, we get into the system and then we can change it. So that was their ideology, that if you want to change the particular system, you have to get into that. So the party thought that they should fight the elections for the councils and they should enter them in order to influence different government policies. And through this sincere social work in villages in the mid 1920s, the Gandhians were able to extend their support base. So basically, because of their different movements that they have held, they have done different social works in different villages in the mid 20s. So basically, all the followers of Gandhians, they were able to extend their support base and they can like earn a lot of votes from these people. So this was proved that to be very useful in launching the civil disobedience movement in 1930. So if we, they were thinking that if this could be possible, we can get our base could be strong, the people will be supporting us, so we can start off in launching to a different movement, that was the civil disobedience movement in 1930. So this was the another important movement that was launched in 1930, and there were two important developments of the mid 20s that happened, and that has been for the formation of the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh. So that was the RSS, that was being a Hindu organization, was formulated against the Congress party, and that was the Communist Party of India. That was another main important party that was being established here against Congress. That was a Hindu organization where only the Hindu members were there, and they were known as the Communist Party of India. Now these parties have held very different ideas about the kind of country India should be. So their ideologies, their methodology to like get independence was totally different for India. Like these parties have had their very different ideas about the kind of country India should be. Like find out about their ideas with the help of your like teacher. If they are saying you can help, I am going to help you out here. So basically, what kind of idea that they were following here was totally different. That is given in your book as well. See, basically, they want to establish their particular party through their washers. Washers means that their voice. So basically, they were not intimidated with Gandhian thoughts. They were not intimidated with Gandhian followers. They have their own ideology that they, if they want to fight it out with this particular thing, they need to voice it out. So there were different ideologies that had happened in these particular mid 20s that has changed the entire scenario for the independence war that was begun with the revolutionary nationalist Bhagat Singh. He was a very active in this particular period, and the decade was closed with the Congress resolving to fight for the Purna Swaraj, complete independence in 1929 under the presidentship of Jawaharlal Nehru. So basically, in this particular period, there were different kind of revolutionary leaders that was coming up, or nationalists we can say that was coming up. That was Bhagat Singh and his comrades. His comrades are basically who were the members, who were the basic members of, or the like part of his particular team. They were too very actively like participating in this period, and the decade was being closing as the Congress was resolving to fight for the Purna Swaraj. That was they have started when Congress was divided into two parts and their things were being neglected. They started with one thing, and what was that particular thing? That was that they wanted to fight for the complete independence now. That they don't want half independence or anything, they want the complete independence for India in 1929 under the presidentship of Jawaharlal Nehru, and constantly Independence Day was observed on 26 January 1930 all over the country. At that period of time, they have just talked about Independence Day, and that was observed on 26 January 1930 majorly all over the country. Now they were the basically what was the contribution of Bhagat Singh and his comrades here? So they were the revolutionary nationalists, such as Bhagat Singh and his comrades. They wanted to fight against this colonial rule and the rich exploiting classes through a revolution of workers and peasants. So basically, they want to work for the peasants and worker class. They don't want to like contribute anything for the rich exploiting classes because they are already getting benefit a lot from the Britishers. So they wanted to help the needy people, for the lower class people, for the workers and for the peasants, and they were raising their voice so that they can get their rights, their basic rights. So they that was their main agenda. So for this particular purpose, they founded the Hindustan Socialist Republican Association in 1928 at Firozshah Kotla in Delhi. So basically, they have started with their own association and where they assembled in Firozshah Kotla in Delhi. All the members of the HSRA assassinated Saunders. They were a police officer who had led a lathi charge that was caused the death of Lala Lajpat Rai there only. So basically, they were all the members who were being part of this particular association. They gathered there, they assembled there, they protested there, and because of this, there was a police officer who had led a lathi charge on all these members, and that has basically caused the death of Lala Lajpat Rai too. So along with his fellow nationalist, that was B.K. Dutt, he threw a bomb in the Central Legislative Assembly on 8 April 1929. So basically, after this particular incident, there was one more fellow nationalist that was a part of their group, that was B.K. Dutt. He threw a bomb. He threw a bomb in the Central Legislative Assembly on 8 April 1929, and the major aim behind this was, as their leaflet explained, that was not to kill but to make the depth here. So they wanted their main motive was not to kill anyone, but they wanted that they want to everyone to hear that their voice, that they are not weak, they can do whatever they want to, they can earn their independence through anything. So they want that their ears should be not deaf, they should hear their voices, that Inqilab Zindabad, to remind the foreign government of its calorious explosion. And with Bhagat Singh also tried and executed at the age of 23 with this particular thing. Now we are going to talk about the most famous incident, that was the march to Dandi. So Purna Swaraj would never come on its own. So basically Purna Swaraj, like they have thought about it that now we are going to live for our Purna Swaraj, but it is not going to come on its own. We need to fight for that as well. So it had to be fought for. Like in 1930, Gandhiji have declared that he would lead a march to break the salt law. So basically, when the civil disobedience had just started off, so Gandhiji have declared at that point time only that he would lead a march to break the salt law. So if basically what they have done in Lord Irwin was the one who was basically taking all the decision for the one, and he had like given a time period that if you are not abolishing the salt law, we are going to start the march to break the salt law. So according to this law, the state had a monopoly on the manufacture and sale of salt. So basically they, according to this law, what the thing that they were doing, they are going to march from one place to another, and they from where this salt is going to manufacture, they are going to break that, they are going to manufacture it, and they are going to sell the salt from there only. So that was the kind of thing that they were going to do. So Mahatma Gandhi, along with his other nationalists, they were like 74 nationalists with him that like walked through a particular region, and because these nationalists were very sinful to salt tax, since it is such a essential item of our food. So basically, a salt is something that is being consumed by rich and poor both. So that is a very essential item of our food, and it is being consumed by everyone. So that was a kind of a thing that could be like the contribution could get from each and every particular person. So the salt march was related to the general desire of freedom, to a specific grievance shared by everybody, and thus did not divide the rich and the poor. So as I just told you that salt is one of the like essential item of our food that is being consumed by rich and poor, both the things. So that can basically unite them as a whole. So it is the general desire of freedom for a specific grievance, not it is being not specific towards the poor or the rich. It cannot divide them. It can basically shared by everyone out there. So it can this particular thing could be supported by everyone. Now, Gandhiji and his followers marched for over 240 miles from Sabarmati to the coastal town of Dandi, where they broke the government law by gathering natural salt found on the seashore and boiling seawater to produce this salt. So, Gandhiji and his followers they have marched over 240 miles from Sabarmati to the coastal town of Dandi, there, where they have broke the government law and they have gathered all the natural salt that was found in the seashore, and they boiled the sea water to produce the basic salt. So there were different kind of people who were peasants, tribals, women, all of them participated in large number to basically produce the salt. And there was a business federation that was published a pamphlet also on the salt issue. The government tried to crush the movement through brutal action against peaceful satyagrahis. Thousands were sent to jail. So what was the reaction of Britishers toward this thing, that the government tried to crush this particular movement by beating them brutally and creating a disturbance against this peaceful satyagraha, and there were thousands of people who were sent to jail against this particular thing. So that was the reaction of Britishers toward this thing. Then there were there were different combined struggles of the Indian people that were bore fruit when the Government of India Act of 1935 prescribed provincial autonomy, and the government announced elections to the provisional legislatives in 1937. So basically there was a combined struggle of the Indian people that was being held with the for the Indians. Basically they, after all these breaking of the things, they were civil disobedience movement was also being called off because of the brutal action of the Britishers that time. So the combined struggle of all the Indians people was born with the fruit when the Government of India Act of 1931 prescribed the provisional autonomy, and the government announced that the elections of the provisional legislature in the 1937. So they all were going to participate in that, and the Congress basically formed government in 7 out of 11 provinces. So basically the Congress was there. They have started establishing their legislative assemblies and they were formulated their government there. So the Congress formed their government in 7 out of 11 provinces, and in September 1939, after 2 years of Congress rule in the provinces, the second World War was broke out. So only 2 years happened, and after, when the Congress was leading, where things were getting better, the Second World War broke out, and there was a critical of Hitler. Congress leaders were ready to support the British war effort. So because the situation was so harsh and so huge, there was the critical situation of Hitler at that time. So the Congress leaders were ready to support the British war effort, but in return they wanted that India be granted independence after the war. So basically they make a particular deal with the Britishers that we are going to help you out to fight out with this particular incident, but in return we need independence after the war is being completed. So the British refused to concede the demand, and the Congress ministries resigned in protest. So basically the Britishers at that time, they have conceded the demand that they don't want your help and they will not give you independence after the war also. So the Congress minister resigned that particular protest itself. Now the main important thing, the main incident that have led to the independence, that was Quit India, and later what the things has happened. So Mahatma Gandhi decided to initiate a new phase of movement against the British in the middle of the Second World War. So when the situation of Second World War was happening, Mahatma Gandhi decided to initiate a new phase of movement against the Britishers in the mid of Second World War, that Quit India movement. So the British must quit India immediately, he told them. So basically he have given the statement that you have to quit India as soon as possible, immediately, and he told them, to the people he said, do or die in your effort to fight the British, but you must fight non-violently. So his main agenda was for the Quit India movement is that we need to take out Britishers out of our India, but with peacefully, with non-violence only. So the people, he said to the people that do or die, give your 100%, give your 100 efforts that you can fight out to make them go out from our country, but you have to fight it with non-violently only. and Gandhiji and other leaders who were there, who were jailed at once, but the movement was spread in a very huge way. In a way, it was being spread, and its waves were spread throughout the country. So Gandhiji and other leaders were also there to support this particular movement, and it was spread in a widespread. It especially attracted the peasants and the youth who gave up their studies to join it. So basically, especially attracted the peasants and the youth at that time who gave up their studies to join this particular movement. And there were different communications and symbols of state authorities were attacked all over the country. So there were different kind of things that was happening. They were being attacked. They were the authorities being very restrictive. They taking the youth in front of them. In many areas, the people set up their own governments. So basically, they started with governing their own self. They just given this particular statement: either you are going out from a country, or we are going to leave this particular country as soon as possible. So that was the thing that they have initiated with this their peaceful act. That if you are going to attack us, we are ready to leave this particular country. If you are not going to leave this place. So the first response of the British was were repressive. So with their protest that was happening, the formulation of their government, the first response of British were severe repressive. Like by the end of 1943, over 90,000 people were arrested and around 1,000 killed in police firing. So they were very brutal towards us. Like at the period of 1943 also, they were like almost a lakh of people were arrested and around 1,000 people were killed in police firing. And in many areas, orders were given to machine gun crowded from airplanes. So in the large number that was happening, there were many areas who have ordered them कि machine gun से आप लोगों को fire कर सकते हो ऊपर से. So the revolution, however, ultimately brought the Raj to its knees. So basically, the revolution that everyone was coming up, everyone, कुछ भी हो जाए, whatever the situation is, do or die, that was situation was happening for them, and the revolution was taking up to such a level that ultimately they brought the British Raj to its knees. Now towards the independence and partition that happened with the Muslim League and with that had divided into India and Pakistan. So meanwhile in 1940, the Muslim League had moved a resolution demanding independent states for Muslims in the northwestern and eastern areas of the country. So basically in 1940, the Muslim the relation between the Indians and Muslims were very brutal from the starting only. Like in the starting, they were coming together for certain movements, but after they have got their separate electorates, so they thought that India is basically the land for Hindus only, and they are not going to get anything separately. So their demands will be repressed. So for that, they have started in resoluting their own demands there by getting an independent state for Muslims in the northwestern and east areas of the country. So the resolution did not mention partition or Pakistan. So basically what their demand was, basically they wanted that they should get some proper states, like proper area for the Muslim community only in the northwestern and the eastern areas of the country. But this resolution did not mention that they want partition or a separate country called Pakistan. So why did the League ask for an autonomous arrangement for the Muslims of the subcontinent? So why this partition happened and how they basically merged this Muslim community as a subcontinent or a land called Pakistan. So basically from the late 1930s, the League began viewing the Muslims as a separate nation from the Hindus. So I just told you that there was the relation was getting very brutal between the Hindus and Muslims, because they were thinking that the Hindus were not taking stand for the Muslim community, and they basically wanted that they should have their separate electorates and they should have their separate seats everywhere. So the Muslims, they need that they are a separate nation from the Hindus altogether. That was their thinking from the 1930s only. And in the developing this notion, it may have been influenced by the history of tension between some Hindus and Muslim groups in the 1920s and 1930s. So because of the developing of this particular notion only, the history of tension between the Hindus and Muslims was there from 1920s. It was begun in 1920s, and it was there, it was building a lot more in 1930 also. Now more importantly, the provisional elections of 1937, seemed to be very convinced with the legue that Muslims were a minority and they would always have to play second fiddle in any democratic structure. It feared that Muslims may even go unrepresentative, and the Congress rejected of the legue's desire to form a joint Congress legue government in the United Provinces in 1937. Also, they annoyed the legue as well. So more importantly, the things getting more brutal between the Hindus and Muslims. The provisional elections of 1937 seemed to be very conventional for the legue that Muslims were a minority. So उनके दिमाग में यही thinking आ गई थी that the Hindus are the majority and the Muslims are the minority. So their demands are never going to be fulfilled at all. So they would always have to play the second fiddle in any democratic structure. So if they thought that if they are going to be a part of this legue also, they will be the second priority, not the first one. So that was the thinking that was coming with the Muslim legue, and that feared the Muslims may even go unrepresentative. So they thought that ki sometimes the thing could happen that unki demands ko suna hi na jaye. They could be not taking up like stand for themselves. They will be not be a part of the particular country anymore. So that was the fear that was coming up in the Muslim legue. So the Congress rejection of the legue's desire to form a joint Congress legue government in the United Province in 1937 also annoyed the legue. So yeah, what happened in 1937 that the Muslim legue we want the combined. They wanted to basically join their hands with Congress legue and formulate the government. But the Congress rejected. They rejected their desire to coming together and join this particular legue, which happened, and that was basically annoyed Muslims more often with that. So the Congress failure to mobilize the Muslim masses in the 1930s allowed the legue to widen its social support. So basically the Congress party was the one who have been into this situation, that they were in the situation of failure. They were in the situation of a failure to mobilize the Muslim legue in the 1930s. They allowed the legue to widen its social support, and it sought to enlarge its support in the early 1940s when most Congress leaders were in jail. So basically most of the leaders were thrown into jail, and basically the support of the legue was widening up. So Muslim legue's support was widening up a lot, and they were in large number of support that was coming up in 1940 because the Congress leaders were in jail. So they were able to mobilize their particular support more widely in the entire country. So at the end of the war in 1945, the British opened negotiation between the Congress and the legue and themselves for the independence of India. And the talks that failed because of the legue saw itself as a sole spokesperson of the Indian Muslims. So basically the Congress, when British opened the negotiation between the Congress, the legue and themselves in the independence of the India, the talk was failed because the legue saw itself that they were in the favor of the Indian Muslims, not for them. So the Congress could not accept this claim since a very large number of Muslims still supported it. So the Congress did not accept their particular claim that they wanted to negotiate with the Muslims, because there were a large number of Muslims who were still supporting the Britishers more often. So the elections to the province were again held in 1946. Again the elections happened. There were different provinces that happened, and the Congress did well in the journal constitutions, but the legue's success in the seats reserved for Muslims were spectacular. So basically there were certain reservations for Muslims. So जो कांग्रेस थी उन्होंने काफी अच्छा किया था इन दी जनरल इलेक्शंस, बट जो लेग्यू सक्सेस जो उनको मिला मुस्लिम को, that was a lot more better than any Congress party could have been gained. So it proceeded with this demand for Pakistan. So because that the power that they have gone with that, they have proceeded to demand for a different land, that was Pakistan. And in March 1946, the British cabinet sent a 3-member mission to Delhi to examine this demand and to suggest a suitable political framework for a free India. So basically to formulate this particular demand of Muslim legues, in March 49, the British cabinet sent 3-member mission to Delhi to examine their demand and to suggest certain suitable political framework for a free India also. So this mission suggested that India should remain united and constitute itself as a loose confederation and some autonomy for Muslim majority areas as well. So the thing that was happening in the first, that they wanted that they will be giving some areas to the Muslim, and they other land will be for the Indians, and they will be united as a country. So India should remain united, and they will be getting the land area. With that, British Muslim League will also get certain part. So the autonomy for British majority will also be there, but it could not get the Congress and the Muslim League to agree to the specific details of the proposals. But because the situation between the Congress party and Muslim League was so brutal, that they were not urging towards this particular proposal that कि हम अपना एरिया दे दें या फिर हम कहीं पे एडजस्ट कर लें, that was not happening. So that has led to the partition now become more or less inevitable. So basically they can see that कि partition होके ही रहेगा, because they were not agreeing on a suitable thing. So after the failure of the cabinet mission, the Muslim League decided on mass agitation for winning its Pakistan demand, and it announced 16 August in 1947 a direct action day, and on this day riots broke out in Calcutta, and riots they were direct action day that was happened on 16th August 1947. On this day there were different riots that broke out in Calcutta, lasting several days and resulting in the death of thousands of people. By March 1947, violence spread to different parts of northern India as well, and there were different riots that was happening. There were killing of people, there were brutal actions against Muslims, and everything was leading towards a very brutal things that was coming up for them. So there were many 100,000 people were killed, and numerous women had to face untold brutality against the partition. So not only like males and children, but women also have to face a lot of brutality against the partitions, because they were killed, they were getting like they were brutally being beaten up, they were sending into jails. Millions of people were forced to flee their homes. They were basically told, millions of people, to you have to leave your home and you have to get out of that place and turn assembled from their homelands. Like who were living in Pakistan, they came to India, and from many people who were living in India, they have left India and they went to Pakistan. So that was a very brutal situation, brutal partition that happened, and they were reduced to being refugee in alien lands. And partition also meant that India changed and many of its cities changed, and a new country, Pakistan, was born. So the joy of our country's independence from British rule came with mixed with the pain and violence of partition. So we got our independence, we got everything. Pakistan was a new country that was born. Everything was happening. We were out of the British rule, but this all thing came with a lot of pain and violence of partition that happened. And still now the brutality is there. We are not very well linked with Pakistan anymore. The brutality is still there. The harsh thing that is happening till now. There are different kind of war situation that still is happening between India and Pakistan. There are certain Kargil areas that is being built there to stop the terrorist act. So overall, we got our independence in 1947, but how we have got it? Basically we got with some mixed with the pain and violence in partition. So that's it for the entire chapter. We are done with the chapter, and on most probably I am letting you know about the test when it is going to happen. And these are the homework questions that you have to do as homework for today. These are the 4 questions. First, that you have to explain the Raleigh Satyagraha Act in brief. Question number 2 is basically that you have to discuss the main events between 1937 to 47 which create the birth of Pakistan. Question number 3, why did Gandhi take decision to break the SALT law? And question number 4, what did the Muslim League resolutions of 1940 have asked for? So that's it. Please take care of yourself, and thank you so much for listening to this lecture.